Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode, Triple F Ranch. So as you guys can tell by the thumbnail, this is a completely off-the-wall video. This is something I'm wanting to start doing on my YouTube channel. There's a few RC videos I do have on there, and they've been doing pretty well. Not going to go into a huge big story about any of this, but which that actually might come for another video. I'm probably not going to be doing a lot of the videos that I have been doing, especially with the fishing videos. I'm making some big changes to my YouTube channel, and that's more along the lines of some personal reasons, financial reasons, anything along those lines. I can't do everything, and I really have to choose what I want to do and where, I'm not going to say most of my money goes, but my play money goes. So today I'm wanting to make this video kind of an introductory video into my RC racing. Now, I'm sure some of you that watch my YouTube channel for other reasons may wonder why I have RC videos. So, not going to go into a long, my whole life story when it comes to the RC thing, but I started racing when I was 3 years old. My dad introduced it to me, and I've been racing most of my life. So, and I'll go through and explain kind of what racing that we do and the racing that we used to do, where we race at, and stuff like that. So this video is strictly just going over my RC gear. I know a lot of people I've seen from other channels and stuff like that, they like to see what everybody is using. So I'm going to go through my cars, I'm going to go through my radio, I'm going to go through all my parts, all the electronics in my cars, the batteries I use, and all the tires, dirt and carpet. And as you guys can probably tell, we race off-road strictly. We used to do oval. That comes with the financial thing again. We can't afford to do everything. I don't make $500,000 a year and work 3 days a week to be able to do everything. So I'm going to pick up the camera, go through my cars. I have a 17.5 car right here, and I have a mod car right here. This one is a B62 carpet car. This is a B61 carpet car. I was kind of hoping my dad was going to be home right now, because I'm sure he would have something to interject to all of this. He has been doing this, I think he started when he was 15, 16 years old back in 93, 2 years before I was born. I'm 25 now. So I've been doing this for 22 years. A lot of knowledge, and I've gained most of my knowledge from my dad, and then really started studying suspension geometries. Not really aerodynamics, because I don't really pay a whole lot of attention. A lot of people say, well, you run this body because of this reason, stuff like that. I don't go that into depth. I try to keep everything as simple as possible. So other than that, we're going to hop into the cars. I'm going to show you guys what I use, why I use it, and kind of the backstory as to why I switched from what I used to use to what I use now. So hopefully I got enough light here. We're going to start with the 17.5 car. I'm going to show you guys what I'm running in this thing. And the reason I'm starting with the 17.5 is because I know most of the off-road racing, both carpet and dirt, the biggest turnout is 17.5. I enjoy running mod way more than 17.5 just because of the power, but we're not going to get into that aspect either. So we're going to start at the front of the car. I'm running a Reedy low profile servo. I will link everything down in the description box below, because I'm going to try to figure out what this is an RS1306. This servo is awesome. I think it's 25 to 30 grams lighter than what I'm running in my mod car. Second thing is, I don't remember the name of this transponder. It's got MRT on the front. I think it's a Milapse. I'm pretty sure. Next thing we're going over to is a Futaba SR receiver, and I will explain why I'm running Futaba, kind of get into that whole aspect as well. Reedy 510R Blackbox. Now, this speed controller comes with 15 gauge wire, and I don't think I have to explain this too much as far as 17.5 goes and why people try to cut weight. I switched these from 15 gauge to 14 gauge. I'm pretty sure, no, or did I go 14 to 15? Yeah, okay. Okay, no, I gotta back up here a second because I don't remember if I went from 15 to 14 or 13 to 14. Now my mod car has basically all the same stuff in it because I don't really understand gauges by any means. Okay, so it's 13 gauge. So I went from 13 gauge wire to 14 gauge wire just to lighten it up a little bit, give it a little bit lower profile inside the body. It was more of an experiment than anything, just to see as far as like throttle response and battery temps, motor temps, ESC temps, stuff like that. So moving on to the battery, I am running a Reedy Zapper. I'm pretty sure this is the third version. I'm gonna grab a wrench, get this battery out so I can go a little bit more into depth into it. All right, so I got the battery pack out. This is my specific 17.5, that's why I wrote 17.5 on it. 115C, 4800 milliamp. I have a low profile, which I think it's a 3600, I think, and just hated how the car felt with a lighter battery in it. 7.6 volt, it's a silicone graphene pack. 7.6 volt is a huge deal. I really like running 7.6. Now, the 7.6, correct me if I'm wrong, if any of you guys out there have more knowledge than me, these and 17.5, and I think even mod class, I think has restrictions on it. You can charge it up to 8.44 volts. But the 7.6, I love these going from 7.4 volt LiPos, and then the new technology made the 7.4s go to 7.6s. It's an SG3, it's a Reedy Zappers, and I will get into the reason I run Reedy now. So going back to the motor, this is a Reedy S Plus. I'm pretty sure it's a Mach 3. Maybe it's not. Maybe the S Plus is their own series. So this is a 17.5, and as you can tell, you can see the cutouts. I'm not going to tear the motor out or anything like that, but the motor can is lightened. The stator is lightened. It's all milled out and stuff like that. This one is a lot less milled out. That is an M375 in my mod car. So there's two different versions of this motor. You have the standard motor, and then you have the high torque motor. Now, probably more of a controversial thing, but what I did was, just so I can have some playroom and some cushion, I bought the standard motor, and then I bought a high torque rotor and put in this thing. This motor is a monster. I shimmed it. I put on a motor analyzer to get the optimum amp draw out of it, which I run 6.5, and I'm running on carpet. I'm running about 132 to 140 degrees on this thing. I got a fan. Strategically placed my fan. The reason why is because the cutouts like this go all the way around the motor. So I mounted it like this. Some guys might mount it on the side. Not a fan, because the only thing that cools is the sensor board itself. The thing that destroys motors is heat that gets to the magnets, not the end bell. So I tried to strategically place this fan so it would blow most of the air completely around it. I'm getting like 120 degrees at the bell, and then I'm getting like 132, 140 at the case itself, the stator. I run a Reedy fan on that as well. Awesome fan. I've tried 2 Yokomo fans, which if you peel the sticker off of a Yokomo fan is a wild turbo fan. Factory team slipper eliminator kit on this. What that does, it lightens up the drivetrain so you get maximum horsepower out of the motor without drivetrain drag. Plastic pinion on carpet, never had a single problem out of that at all. I was a little bit worried about it because obviously carpet is very high grip and it is very hard on stuff, but running plastic pinions, I've had no problems out of that at all. So realistically, the rest of the car is 100% stock. I'm not really a big fan of running aftermarket parts. Again, this is a 6.1. This is a carpet version. My 17.562 is a carpet version. as well, but both of these are converted to dirt because we have been getting ready for some bigger bigger dirt races. Unfortunately, we were not able to make it to those, but these are carpet cars. I got all the sway bars. I still have gear diffs in them, and maybe that'll come time for another video, but in my opinion, ball diffs are kind of a pain. I'm running gear diffs in this. This is basically just a stock carpet car. Something a little bit different is I've been playing around with the flat arms. The Associated's, most of the modern day cars now run gull wing arms, and I'm still a big fan of the flat arms. We're gonna see how that does on dirt. I'm not gonna go through the shock package. I'm not gonna go through the setup, because just because, let's say I'm successful with this setup, it doesn't mean you're gonna be successful as well. So we're gonna go through the electronics. It's basically the same thing. This one is a RS1206 Reedy servo. It is not a low profile, so this one's like 25 to 30 grams heavier. This is just a sport Futaba receiver, and that is a very, very old A&B transponder, I believe. Again, 510R speed controller, black box, stock wires, the Reedy battery. This is an SG2. That other battery is an SG3. I haven't had any problems out of any of those. Reedy 7.5, I'm pretty sure that was an M3. Yes, that is an M3 motor. Nothing special going on here. It's still got a slipper, everything like that. As you can tell, that looks a little bit different from my other car. J-Concept swing. Beautiful chassis because we've been running mostly carpet. So that's pretty much it going through my cars. There's not a whole lot to them. I just wanted to show you guys what I run. This video is probably going to be pretty long. I'm going to say 25-30 minutes or something like that. But the next thing I'm going to get into is my radio. This radio is amazing, and I will get up in the attic. I'll pull the old radio down that I used to use, the radio I did use, to the radio I use now. So I'm bringing something out from the dinosaur age. I used this radio for a very, very long time. Well, the same style radio. This is a Spectrum DX4R Pro. I had the DX3R Pro and used that thing. Oh boy. This style radio has probably been using it for about 6 or 7 years, something like that. I had a few problems out of this radio just because I think it was a little bit older. It was just getting more out. It was done. I use this thing a lot. So this was a radio that I used to use, and I'm going to show you the radio that I switched to. So as far as the RC racing goes, this is probably the best thing I bought. It took me almost 3 weeks to get used to this radio. I had to dial in a ton of Expo. If you guys don't know what Expo is, let me know in the comment section below. I will go through a video on that too. This radio was almost, I think after shipping and tax, I think it was like 740 bucks, something like that. It was time for me to get a new one, and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone. I used to run TLR, and I went to Associated, and we're not bashing Associated, but we used to be die-hard TLR. Nothing else mattered. We hated every other company. I finally grew out of my comfort zone and switched to Associated. That was one of the greatest decisions I ever made, and I will save that for another video if you guys want to see that as well. I've ran JR and Spectrum pretty much most of my life, and I finally stepped outside of my comfort zone with the radio as well and bought a Futaba. And as right now, this is the most comfortable radio I have ever held. Now, I do have some tennis wrap around it, if you guys can see that. Just because I got bigger hands, this kind of opens up my hand a little bit. Better blood flow. It's just way more comfortable to hold the radio. This thing has got full adjustments. You can adjust the trigger tension. You can twist the trigger left and right to the angle of your finger once it's sitting in there. You can slide the trigger forwards and backwards. You can change the tension. There are so many adjustments with the drop down steering wheel and how you can rotate it, the angle that you can get on it. If you guys can see it, the radio's facing completely straight right now, and I've actually got the wheel angled in a little bit just because I hold my radio at an angle like this. That way my wrist and everything stays straight. Probably not going to make a difference, but this radio is amazing, and I am so glad I bought this thing. If you guys want to see a full review of this, and if you want me to go through the menu or anything like that, make sure you guys leave me a comment down in the comment section below. Before we move on to tires, I want to throw this in here real quick. I'm trying to get more into the RC vlogging thing, and I guess really the thing that slows me down, which is a ridiculous thing, but when you're walking around an RC track or out in public and you're talking to a camera, people are just like, what is this guy doing? Vlogging, bruh! I guess people don't quite understand it. They think it's weird, I guess, and that really shouldn't bother me, and it doesn't. And then people come up to me like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I want people to come talk to me. I definitely want to help people out or anything like that, but I don't want people making assumptions that I'm just kind of like out there and I'm just kind of like talking out into space or anything like that. I know it's stupid, but trying to grow out of my comfort zone. We are going to the RC, or I think it's the Huger Hobbyplex down in New Albany, Indiana this weekend. I will be making a vlog of that. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. That way you guys can see when I upload that video. I think it's going to be fun. We haven't ran dirt in 2 years, and I will show you the reason why I ordered $800 worth of tires last month. We're going to start with the carpet box here. Where we race at, it's not really necessary to have a completely different compound, tread pattern, everything like that. If you're racing on carpet, carpet is very, very consistent track surface to run on. Even when it comes from the summertime to the wintertime, the track conditions don't normally change. Carpet is just, realistically, I mean, carpet's 95% consistent. All I got, extra foams, and I've got a boatload of tires in here. I used to run the J Concept Swaggers, I think double pink in the fronts on slim wheels, and I'm kind of getting away from J Concepts. I just have a little bit more peace of mind with Proline. I used to be a Proline driver. Let me back up. So I used to be a sponsored Proline driver here probably 4 or 5 years ago. Got away from the sponsorship thing, wasn't really interested in it anymore. Went to J Concepts, ran a lot of their stuff on dirt. I'm not gonna bash J Concepts on here. They're great products. They just don't fit me very well because I don't have a lot of confidence in, number one, breaking in the tires. I'm sure if any of you guys have raced dirt and you've heard the J Concepts guys, their tires are terrible to break in. I hate breaking in their tires, and I've never had a lot of luck with consistency in their tires, but that's just me. It's personal preference. The tires I went to for carpet now are the Proline Prisms in the front. I've been running Schumacher Cactus yellows in the rear. Perfect combination. I was a little bit concerned about switching to the Proline Prism silvers in the front. Didn't know how it was going to work. I ran the Swaggers for 2 years, going on 3 years, I think. And switching a different tire on the day of your race, I got lucky because the tire's awesome. Love it. It's way more consistent. It doesn't wear down as fast. So moving on from that, that's really pretty much it for my carpet box. I got some other stuff. There is the Schumacher Cactus. I think these are J Concepts pin downs. Hate these tires now. I don't know why. These tires used to be awesome. And then I ran some different tires. I think I've got 1 run on those and maybe 2 laps. Terrible, terrible tire where I race at. First things first, tire dope. Always have to have tire dope, traction compound, whatever you guys want to call it. And it's very unfortunate because I grew up running the Paragon ground effect, and it had the wintergreen smell. You guys may know what I'm talking about. That was the greatest stuff in the world. There's no traction compound out there that worked as good and worked as consistent as the Paragon ground effects. These are just excess parts that I left in bags. I have, I have a black box programmer in here as well. I have a sensor board for the Reedy S Plus in here as well. I got lucky with it. I'm not going to go into that either. I tried to adjust the Hall effect sensors. I was able to get them soldered back on, and I was just a little bit concerned about it, so I went ahead and ordered another sensor board for the Reedy S Plus. I didn't want to be stuck in a race and then my 17.5 car take a dump and wasn't able to finish. So backup parts, it's all about support equipment. Next thing is a notebook. This is something that I'm trying to practice what I preach. Take notes. I have a lot of different tires in here, different tire compounds, different tire treads. And I'm wanting to get to a track and really have a track that's changing in conditions. That way I can be like, okay, so at the start of the day, the track was moist. It didn't really have a groove in it yet. It wasn't dusty. And then I can say this tire worked best in that. And then as the track dries out, switch to a different compound and a different tread pattern and just work it back and forth. That way, when you guys go to a track and you look at the track and be like, okay, so it's dry and dusty. You go through your notes, you look at it and be like, okay, so back then on that same day it was dry, dusty, so this tire worked best in that track condition. That gets you an extra step ahead of the game. I'm not a sponsored driver anymore. I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but that will help you tremendously. Be one step ahead of the game. Do your research, write down your notes, write down what you figured out. Always experiment as well. Extra wings. Kale Cohen, if you're watching this, thank you so much for giving me these wings. They're J Concepts wings, which I'm eventually going to use these things out and switch everything back over to Pro Line. Extra front wings. I don't know how the front wings are going to do on dirt. It's always good to have extra stuff. Here's my full setup book. I take this stuff pretty serious. Like, I have notes in here. I did a lot of research with suspension geometries, car geometries. Did a lot of extensive research when it comes to, you know, setups. This completely changed my racing game. Got some standard kit setups for dirt car. Got some standard setups for the kit car. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm not gonna pull the camera down, but these are complete setup sheets. Parts. All kinds of parts in here. Option parts, you know, different shock cubs, pills. So I got a lot of like my steel weights in here for carpet. I'd like to get a car with a really, really low center of gravity. So I got brass bulkhead in here. I've got some extra slipper stuff. I've got some extra transmission parts, A-arms. Always have A-arms. These are V1 springs. Now, since I'm running two cars, I had to get two pairs of each one of these. I'm wanting to also get the full V2 set. Hopefully Associated is going to come out with the full V2 kit. So you can actually get a spring kit. It's got like, I think 4 spring rates in each box. It's way cheaper to do that. Now, I heard through the grapevine that they're actually getting away from doing that, so you have to buy them all separate. Not a big deal, but springs are going to be a huge deal when it comes to setting up your car. I'm just going to pick up the camera and show you guys what I bought and the reason why I bought so many tires. So this is where all the fun begins. This is $800 worth of tires, and no, I'm not bragging about how much money I spent on it because it's almost disgusting. In order to be competitive, you really have to have a substantial selection of tires to be successful. So I'm not even close to being done yet with my whole tire collection, but I've got 3 different compounds in the shadows. I've got S3s, S4s, and MCs because we race on a lot of clay around here. It's not pure clay. So, and then I have resistors and S4s, resistors and MCs. And you guys are probably wondering why some of them are still in the Pro Line package, some are in this. So I don't know if that was a change that Proline made, but these are Ziploc bags. They do have locks on them, whatever you want to call them, Ziploc bags. Some of them don't have those. And the biggest thing with tires is keeping them completely away from the elements, keep them sealed up, make sure moisture doesn't get to them. So I had to get some bags and put these tires in bags so they're completely sealed up. So that's really, I'm not going to go full into depth about all my tires. I got slicks in there, I've got shadows, resistors, electrons, stuff like that. So that is a pretty substantial box there. Tires are the #1 thing when it comes to car setup. You can have the most optimum setup on an RC car and have the wrong tire, and it's not going to do you any good. Don't get by with bare minimum. Don't try to do that, because you're only going to make a headache for yourself. So that's going to wrap up the video. Like I said, this is more of a introductory video back into the RC thing. I'm trying to do some more RC vlogs. I love doing YouTube. I hope you guys enjoy most of my videos. If this is the first video you guys are seeing from me, I do hunting videos, and that was one thing I've been wanting to tell you guys. If any of you RC racers out there watching this video and you like to hunt, let me know. So that pretty much does it. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment what you think about this video. If you want me to do a lot more stuff, go over setups, go over gear ratios, kind of what I do with my shock package. So my dad has been into this for going on 30 years. I think he's been into it for 27, 28 years so far. If you guys want to see a Q&A, let me know. Give me your questions in the comment section below, and then me and my dad will sit here. We'll go over your guys' questions. I'll answer some of the questions. He can answer some of them. I think that would be a really cool video, so make sure you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys want to see on my next RC video, and we will see you again. Triple F Ranch.